Let's do
We're
it.
rolling.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Right. For the benefit of the tape, this is the account growth training session. So firstly, why are we doing this? Any ideas?
So we all have accounts that we need to grow.
To learn how to get more out of our existing accounts.
Cool. Anything else?
Each of these companies has millions of pounds of budget, and the more we can factor in for just us,
Mm-hmm.
the more we can take over, say, a whole marketing function, the more we'll make.
Getting money from pre-existing clients was easier than bringing a new client and bringing
Yeah.
clients on board.
Exactly.
Point.
Exactly. How many of us have grown an account either here or elsewhere?
Me.
Yeah.
How much easier was it to bring them on?
Yeah.
Much easier. Yeah. So, first question for you: when should you look to grow an account?
Straight away.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you've sold the first one.
Yeah.
But ideally before then.
What do you mean before then?
Because half the time when you're bringing a company on board for the first time, you're not necessarily selling your entire suite of options or
Yeah.
your entire suite of products. But what you want to do is make sure that they're aware of your entire suite from day one. So you might only end up getting a $4,000 deal out of them, but actually that $4,000 deal, you've already started the conversation of how you're going to get 2 symposium reviews, 3 ads and 5 e-blasts in next year. But
Mhm.
we're just doing this one to begin with. So you want to have it almost in your first conversation.
Cool. Any other comments on that?
I think that's a really good point. You want to make sure that you are already, setting the client out. So the first one that comes in is going to be that deal, but then you already said, even smaller deals, well, depending on that one going well, we're just looking at this next year as well, and the year after.
Yeah. Because in an ideal world, obviously you'd speak to one of these clients and sell them all 4 of our products for the next 5 years, and we do 300-400 grand deals. But sometimes it's obvious it is easy to get someone on a proof of concept. You sell them in on an advert or a symposium review, and then it's straight into that. So I've literally said the same as you guys. So once you look to our account, as soon as it's on your list, once you bring them on, and then just continuously. I think that's the key thing that is important to have in the default diary. So factoring in time every week, whether or not you've got one account or for a Jimmy for 2K. But if you've got an hour, 2 hours dedicated time in your default diary every week, it's that rather than carrying on doing the new business, sitting down and going, right, I've got 4 companies. I'll go through the matrix in a moment, sounds fancy. But I've got 4 companies, how can I grow them? So you're constantly, if it's in your diary, you're going to constantly be looking to do it. Once you grow them, as soon as it's on your list, you're completely right. Once you bring them on, it's a great opportunity, and that's why we've got the process in place for it. And then continuously. So you've got a company on board. What are the different opportunities within a company to bring revenue? This is a really broad question, but I've done it for a reason. How can we grow an account?
Different therapy areas.
Yeah.
Different people.
Different events.
More
different
products.
Yeah, one at a time. Anything else?
Different people.
Yeah.
Times of the year.
Yeah.
In what way?
They're planning, say for example, it's in September for the annual. That's when you've probably got a big ticket opportunity, or likely to have a big ticket opportunity. But that doesn't mean that their needs won't change throughout. So if you've got continuous touch points with them, you might get a big deal at one point, but you'll still get a number of smaller deals throughout the year if you're constantly keeping in touch, keeping in touch with their objectives and what they're trying to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, does make sense. Yeah, that's right. Anything else?
Even if you've booked in for quite some time off in the future, just finding out what they're doing in between now and then. Even if it's not that far away, even if it's you booked in for symposium review in 2 months, find out what else they're doing in the meantime. Find out if a banner ad or whatever would benefit them.
Yeah. Because what are we basically helping clients do?
Reach X amount of specialists.
Yeah. So every company, not just that we pitch, but there's thousands and thousands of companies out there, we can help do it. We're simply the middleman in between them and their healthcare professional. So when I was looking through this, I was like, well, you got the different drugs they deal with, so the different products for medical devices. You got someone mentioned different people, so different job titles. So we know we're looking at brand directors, marketing directors. We know we're looking at publications directors, medical affairs, scientific comms. Now, so that means that when you start to look at these companies, we want to make sure we've got all of them tagged up, because we have no idea when you start looking at an account which one of those is going to give us money. Once we're in them, we can start to grow that network and so forth. But it's so important to get all of those sort of labelled up and lead sourced at the beginning, because it just increases your chances of getting them on. I've put here different offices. What's what I mean by that?
Different locations.
Yeah.
We've got kind of similar job titles in different locations in America, France, Switzerland, whatsoever it is.
Yeah.
And in our case, it's different approvals as well.
Yeah.
So it might be approved to sell in France and whatever.
Yeah.
So the French team or team that handles that is going to have a much or a different objective.
I guess what you mean by that is the different layers. So, like, for example, with one of the companies I've been speaking to, the fact that you have the regional, then the European, and the global level,
precisely, yeah.
they've all got separate budgets they can spend on different projects.
Yeah, I think Haley's given us a really good example with that Sanofi one that came in, with Jean Luc, who's ended up paying out of his European budget. I can't remember if he did
It
or
was
not,
meant to come out of global
but
budget,
he was
but
going to, but it was going to come out of global,
Mm.
and she's going to end up being able to tap actually into both those budgets through one conversation.
Yeah. Who's spoken to companies with global teams and EU teams?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Because I know the difference from company to company.
You've basically got, so global, well, when I was speaking with them, they said that global, essentially, across every single event, the focus is unified. So the focus will be on, it's not just a message for America, just because it's based in America.
Yeah.
It will be, we want to target this to a European audience, to everywhere else. Whereas the European team will only spend on projects that is directly related to them and their European market.
Yeah.
So anything outside of that, that's out of their control, and they've got no say.
See, it does differ, as with this industry, it differs from company to company. It's amazing, like when you actually speak to them, I've had conversations with people saying, oh, I'm European, so I only deal with Europe. And you speak to someone in the US and it's, well, I deal with global, which is anything ex-US. Does that include Europe? Yeah, it includes Europe. I mean, you've got an EU team, you've got a global team. The long and short is, we don't really care, it's really, really complex. The beauty for us is it means that your EU medical lead says no, it means you can just go for your global medical lead. He says no, you can go for your regional. There's so many different layers of who can sign off and who's got different territories that it just makes our job a lot easier. But it just, the point I think is the most important on that is as soon as you get, if you get a no from these companies, just keep on driving in. It happens all the time. So it happens for, and this is sort of going off on a tangent, but every single company, particularly the top 20, we now work with 19, most of them have said at some point, we can't work with you because of X, Y, and Z. But we keep going, and then someone says, oh, actually, yeah, I'm up for this, pushes it through, and then we will jump on the bandwagon and carry on going. So that happens all the time. But in addition, it's happened a million times where people have been pitched at companies and said no, and then we've pitched a similar person with a slightly different tweaked job title, and they've said yes, and then they've then set up a client services call. And funny enough, who's on that call? The person who said no in the first place. So they're all interlinked, but it's just so important to keep going on that side. What type of products can we go for? Can we help these people with?
Whatever they want.
Yeah. What generally is our sort of bread and butter? What phase are they at?
3
No, it's
or
interesting.
going to market.
Yeah. Why phase 3?
Because that's where the hype's big.
Yeah, generally that's where they're ramping up
Yeah.
to go to market.
And it's where the risk is biggest for them as well. So they've just pumped hundreds and hundreds of millions in, or however much it is, stupid amounts. And this is the most critical phase for them. If it flops, they screwed.
yeah.
So,
That's good. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's it, and that helps us from account growth as well, because I think Haley said something about pipelines the other day. It's making sure we're looking at, and we'll come on to it in the process, make sure we're looking at from all of their marketing products they can potentially give us money on, and all of their phase 3 products. To a smaller extent, there may be the odd late phase 2 product in there that they'd be interested in speaking about, but general rule of thumb is that's going to come a little bit later. So keep an eye on those, but that will come a little bit later. Someone mentioned earlier different congresses. Now, why is it so easy for us to pitch companies to different congresses?
Because we are not affiliated, or we're not held to a single con. Congress, and our products are very easily transferable from one to the other. Process is simple.
Process is exactly the same. The USPs, the processes, how we're helping clients is so similar from company to company. It's taking whatever your message is at ESC, getting it to cardiologists. It's taking whatever your message is at heart failure, getting it to cardiologists. It's simple, it's the same thing, it's interchangeable, which is really, really helpful from our side. So, as you can see, there's loads and loads of different opportunities to actually bring in revenue for a client. Say you're sitting down now looking at growing an account, what are the tools you're going to be using? What are your research tools to find out information about a company?
Google News.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn.
Yep.
Their
Their
own
website.
Yeah.
Their own website, their pipelines.
Yep.
Or even the people you're speaking to.
Yep. So the people, yeah.
Job titles that they have, so who's been buying in the past, who are in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
First word email that comes through as well. Just
So
some of those
like farmer news and stuff. Yeah.
Our competitors.
Yeah. In what way?
If a company's spending money with one person, like for example, we are just one facet of a massive approach in terms of particularly when they're taking these drugs to market. So if they're spending with one person, actually they've got propensity for spending,
Mm-hmm.
particularly on this subject. So what you can look at there is whether it be key opinion leaders that can inform you on, and perhaps an angle that you can go in on.
Mm-hmm.
Usually as well there'll be contact details there for a specific person for a product. They're usually a good person to start.
Good. Any others? Where else might you find stuff? No else. Okay, so I've put here, yeah, like the people thing, yeah, it's a great one. Ask these clients, you know, who else is dealing with this, and we'll come on to that in the process. Company website, you've got press releases, events pages. I know Darren's looking at a lot of events at the moment. There's huge angles on that, and you can see which speakers they have. Means that if they're paying a speaker or if they're not paying a speaker to speak at an event, then that's a great opportunity for us to do a key opinion leader article on that, or to cover it from a symposium review. Their pipeline is gold dust, because that's telling you, that's basically a document saying this is where we're spending all our money. One I didn't actually write down, which is a good one, which I'll add to the list, is grants. So who's reviewed people's grants pages before? That is basically...
I've only just come across that.
Yeah. So grants is a great one, because grants is basically what the company's saying, we are happy to support projects in this particular field. Now, as lovely as the pharmaceutical industry is, they're doing that for a reason. So if they're happy to support independent projects on breast cancer, that means they have good stuff going on in breast cancer. It's likely to be written about. So yeah, so grants is a great one. Product pages, social media is all inclusive, but we've all seen, you know, we got EADV this weekend and ERS. You go onto them, you type the what's the word?
Hashtag.
Type the hashtag in, and before you know it, you've got a load of leads and you've got a load of angles there. And then just, yeah, company financials is another good one. If once you're really delving into these things.
And reports.
And the what? Annual reports, yeah, exactly. So how do we actually organise this? Anyone got any ideas? How you're sitting down with your accounts and you organise this?
I was telling you about that thing that we used to use. It's such a shame that it's now paid for use.
Yeah.
It doesn't have for free. But it used to be great, and I'll explain to you guys. So you could basically just map people out, and you could provide keywords, you could provide products, and in this case, be indications, etc. And it would just provide you a universe or just a map that's interactive of that company. So you can just follow the lines of communication through global, European, etc. You can do it on paper, sure, but it was just a really nice tool for using it. It's a shame it's paid to use now. But I'm sure there must be something out there that does a similar job.
I mean, there'll be softwares out there and really simple things, really complex things, but often it goes back to the key thing is when we lead source these companies in the first place, it's making sure all products are covered, so that we're not just going in just because they've got a symposium on breast cancer. We're going in for breast cancer, prostate cancer, and renal cell carcinoma, for example, and then making sure that within there we're looking at the publications people, the medical people, the brand directors, and medical affairs. But then once they're on, so what's the process once someone's booked in for an advert? What happens next? Handover call, yeah. So we have client services basically. So client services take over the management of the projects, and then this is where I've sort of written a bit of a process to go through, which I think will be helpful for you guys, is the salesperson taking over, and that's where we're sitting down and we're looking at what are the best growth opportunities. And I've put together, and I'll send this actually around to you, but you can sort of see, and it just shows you as you're going through it, what we call a simple account growth matrix. It's on these. Really, really simple, but if I go through it, you look at, for example, having down the left-hand side, you've got the different products they're dealing with, and then you're just going across. So have I sold them a symposium review? Have I sold them a KOL? And until you've ticked that box, you can't go on, because there might be crossover, but you go through them, and it's also have I sold them all of those, and can I sell them more? You can do that for all of the different products across them, but also it leads into their phase 3 drugs after that. So you've got the marketed products, and then it's worth doing, I'd say, is looking at things from a Congress perspective as well. And you can get all of this information from clients. So if we're going through a process, for example, what are the key questions we want to be finding out from the individual that we've booked in? So who's the last person that booked in? Jimmy. Say Jimmy's working at a slightly large company. Either way, it's still relevant.
Yeah.
What do you want to find out from Jimmy? So what's he bought?
Bought a banner ad.
Okay, so what else did he buy?
Full page ad in journal.
Yep. What else?
Email blast. SRA.
Yep.
If you have a symposium or an article as well.
Okay. And when could that be relevant for him?
Well, they've got time specifically with Jimmy. They're launching things in the next 6 months. It's going to run up to Estra, so he's actually looking at maybe doing a brand advert in the next newsletter as well.
Yeah.
Comes out in January, and then potentially doing an article or something in the journal as well. So in any time that happens until then.
Okay. So what else can we sell him?
An email blast, in the booth at Estra.
Yeah. What else?
An article on the effectiveness.
And how many articles could we in theory sell him?
For him, they've only got one product, so one, I think,
Okay.
by rules of EMJ. They're bigger than.
You can sell him anything.
Yeah.
You just, for all of that, you could just sell him anything. Just
What's
go
to
back.
stop us? I mean, putting budget aside, because as soon as we see budget, we start putting limits, and if we have limits on ourselves, and we're already making objections up for our clients.
Yeah.
Well, it's only Jimmy, so he might not be able to afford 10 articles this year. That's fair enough. He might not be able to. But if we go in, smooth. If we go in with that ideology straight away, we're shutting off opportunity from ourselves. So when I was looking at the individual, I was thinking, well, what has my client bought? Have they bought the other 4 products? Have they got products in the quarterly journals? Because that's another thing, straight away, if they bought an advert, if they bought a banner advert, why does he not have an advert in the quarterly journal, then Estra, then thingy throughout the year? That's what's the impact of having one advert versus having 5 adverts?
It's that continuous
Branding,
continuous branding, isn't it?
And what does that mean to the client?
Always people's minds.
Yeah, and what does that mean?
They're positioned as a leader in their field.
They're going to sell more shit.
Ultimately, you're going to sell one.
Yeah.
They sell more shit.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to Jimmy? If his
Promotion.
work, exactly.
That means that's value for money.
Yeah, much more value for money. It's that continuous journey we talk about. It's actually getting a bigger return for our clients. Like I think what's his name, Grant Cardone who goes on about it. He says we're doing a disservice to them unless they're getting a massive return off the back of it. You should fully believe in your product. If a company does an advert with us once a year, we'll get them some exposure. But if they're actually going to seriously invest with us and do proper advertising campaigns throughout the year, that's going to have a huge impact for us. Now that's the same whether it's symposium reviews, articles and stuff. That's the sort of frame of mind we want to get ourselves into. As soon as someone's booked in, we're like, yeah, that's great, but let's actually put something in place which is actually really, really going to benefit you. So, have they got 4 products in the quarterly journal? What other drugs products do they look after? So, for example, Jimmy's just looking after one for the minute. Yeah. Just trying to think of people like AbbVie, great example. So, what does she look after? Humira. And how many indications does Humira have? We'll try and answer that one.
372.
We're probably not far off.
Yes.
So
Cures everything.
in theory, there's 372 indications to deal with, if that is the correct number, which I'm assuming it is.
Oh, yeah.
But it's looking at that, it's actually, and this is where that meticulous planning comes in. It's rather than going, right, I've pitched her for EULAR, she says she's not that keen on Echo, because we've gone in a bit haphazardly. It's actually sitting back and spending half an hour actually picking that person apart and thinking, what can that individual, what else can I sell that individual, and what's the impact going to be for them? Because the more we're selling, the 145, the 200 gram packages, these clients are going to get huge value off the back of it.
Well, as long as you understand the priority for them.
Yes.
Because even if Humira does have 372 indications, it's about, they're going to say, out of those 372, these 10 are the most
Yeah.
important for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so then where are you spending in those 10 indications,
Mhm.
what events? And then that's what opens you up to being able to build those packages rather than having that scattergun approach across all 372.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then it goes back to, and then the more you're looking at that, the less your day, sort of your default diary starts changing. In the day, you end up spending 10% of your time calling Sophie Berg and her colleagues or equivalents, 90% of the time on new business. Then suddenly you grow that a bit, and suddenly you're on 20% on Sophie Berg equivalents. And then probably shouldn't mention people on the video, but you know, and then it grows on and grows on and goes on. So your input's still the same, but your input actually we can block it out, couldn't we? Your input's still the same, but the actual time you're spending is a lot more focused on these people.
Yeah.
And once you've got the matrix, you can be sitting there on a constant way going, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. I've got a reason to call these people. Because how many clients do we have where we say, well, I've tried to sell them that, and they said, no, not interested for now. We go, okay, fine, I'll wait. I've heard a lot this week, oh, I'll wait till it's published, which is fine. But if we've actually got a real reason to go back into a client and add value, why are we not doing it? What else? So let's pick another one. What other congresses are they attending? Why is that so important that we know that on two
Because it helps us to build a timeline.
Yeah,
They're spending so much money for these congresses.
yeah,
Yeah.
They're spending £500,000 at least. Well, we're spending £500,000, £1 million.
Mhm.
So to spend 30,000 on a symposium is like nothing compared to.
But then that also comes back and ties into priority. If you're going to 10 congresses across the year for a specific drug,
yeah.
then that's clearly important that the work that you do around that drug delivers a return.
Yeah.
So therefore, how we
I think-
So if we're systematically going through that,
Yeah.
and you've got like drug number one is Humira in, I don't know, PSA, or for example, that might be, if gout is it, so that might be priority number one. So yeah, we are hitting that across 6 different congresses, yada yada, but we still, priority number two might still be spending 3 million that year. Priority number three might be spending 500,000, and then going down. It's still great opportunities we need to be exploring, because the proof of concept isn't completely alien. It's, well, your colleagues doing that, and yes, they have a bigger budget, so you spend less, but the concept still works.
I think the useful thing about it as well is there's a propensity for that audience,
Yeah,
a specific audience. So the more niche a congress, and they're still spending money on it, the more value they see in those individuals, which can then entitle your hook, entitle your angle, give you greater credibility when you do go in with that.
Yeah.
As you said, that touch point, oh, this is something I thought you might find interesting.
and that's it. It's actually having that structure. You've got a real reason to call people, a real angle, and it just makes you look like you've done your job properly, which you have. The other side as well is, what other therapies? So how many people's clients here work in other therapeutic areas? Yeah, a lot of mine do. Yeah, a lot of mine do, and it's it's an easy thing that we get driven in the fact that great example, Chart Industries.
Yeah.
So they were pitched for reproductive health, were going to ESHRA, but really they're interested is a respiratory congress, which we're going to the weekend. I think they're exhibiting. No, he's not exhibiting, so we wouldn't have known about them. But that question was asked, and suddenly that's a good potential for a provider asking for respiratory. So make sure we're asking these guys on the phone. So that's the individual side. So individual, what have they bought? Have they bought the other 4 products? Have they got products in the quarterly or the other products? What other drugs are they looking after? What other congresses? What other therapy areas? And the other simple solution is sell them all the same product. Someone's got one advert in the journal, offer them 2.
Yeah.
Simple as that. It sounds daft, but we don't do it. And if you were sitting there and looking for every single client you brought on, if you'd actually just gone back to them and said, do you want to do another one? 20% of them book in. That's only another 100 grand or 200 grand, whatever you book in. What about for the company? So you've brought on a company. What's the process there? So what are the best opportunities there for growing a company? Yeah, referrals.
Finding the same person, but in a different therapy area. With the same
Yeah,
job
in what
titles.
way? Same job title.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What have they got coming up, I suppose?
So it sort of goes.
Timelines.
It sort of goes back to saying this. Is what other drugs does the company do in that therapy area? Because it's not always going to be the same individual. who are the other job titles spending money on that particular area, because we can get X amount of money off a marketing person for Humira, for that indication, but we can also get X amount of money off the medical affairs director for Humira, that indication, and then publication director, and it's going across, so we're making sure we're ticking all of those boxes as we go through. So what other areas they work in, what other drugs and products are in this area, and then it's the what other congresses. But if we've got it systematically, I think that'd be a great exercise actually to do for everyone who's brought on a client. Go through the matrix and actually look at that, and you can see straight away 10, 12, 13, maybe 20 opportunities of easy upsells, and it gives you a reason to go into clients. Who can think of an example of one of their live clients at the moment that they could go into with this tomorrow?
Yeah.
Corning. So do you know off the top of your head what are the easy opportunities that jump out?
A lot of other indications rather than just doing Aruba Health.
Yeah.
Basically, that's like next sequencing.
Yeah.
Sequencing. So there's loads of different stuff they're bringing out. It's new. They're a massive company, life sciences. So
Okay.
they've got other areas. Potentially not for my therapy areas, but intelligence and that as well.
Perfect, yeah. Perfect. That's great.
Seats
Yeah.
minus.
So, oh yeah, that's the point. Now you're here. Yeah. So, does that help in terms of having it as a process? And is there anything further you guys want to go into with something like that? Because that to me formalises what we should be doing, partly when we're lead sourcing, but partly when we're actually growing these
I
companies.
think it's maybe just like the way we go into them.
So having a pitch.
Yeah, or not even like a full pitch because you go into a normal pitch, but just like the intro bit. Well, that's
Yeah.
what I personally find difficult. Even though, say like Alpha Sigma, I know I want to go back to them because I've already from my notes seen that they're filming their symposium. They're having a private symposium, so I want to go back to selling eBlast to send out a video. So I know that I should like go in and be like, when we spoke about this, but just how to have it sort of as a set, because we're so good at when we have the pitch or when we stick to like the question or do this, we can guide it, and you can tell from everyone's calls who we hear, the moment we sort of go too far away from it, it sounds nowhere near as like strong as when we do have a
Incredible as well.
as a direct guide. Whereas if we had like even just a little intro bit, like we do for the summarised bridge pull or the second, like you saw the difference when you started using the second pitch, the closing pitch.
Yeah.
Just you notice the difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little thing like that, just to be like, bang, this is what it is, and then you just insert the reason, but then so you sort of have it
Okay.
already there.
So we can do that.
Yeah, which I don't know for me.
The process with client services as well, because
Yeah.
so what I've been slightly cautious of sometimes is if the client services are still working, all of my projects are being worked on at the moment.
Yeah.
You don't want to step on toes or be like 2 points of contact, especially if they're speaking lots to them necessarily, but maybe using them as a sort of leveraging way. Again, using the kind of process for that.
See that seems mad to me because that's just stopping yourself bringing on new opportunities.
And also it's different because client services are dealing with the project and delivering the project, whereas you're the account manager for the client. So if you're coming to them with news, or if you're coming to them with something valuable which is going to help them see, okay, well actually, we are doing this. This is a way that you've already worked with us once. We can work with you in on this.
Yeah.
It's just a process of going through it with the delivery team then.
Yeah.
So
I think just having a process with delivery, being like, if you don't want to call them 5 minutes after they've spoken to them necessarily, just saying I'm going to call them on this day.
Well, I suppose that's the whole reason why we get sales guys on that first call now.
Yeah.
So that as soon as that client services call is done, you've got your pitch for that call. So it's like, oh great, well while we've got you on the phone, what other congresses you're going to, what other products, and you follow that should open up some opportunities for you. So that's a great start.
actually, I think what could help even with that is that I don't know if we've got them already on the training file, but even some of the calls that Hayley's done, those client services calls.
Yeah, I
where
don't think
she's
we
literally
downloaded
got
any
out
of those.
proposals and sold people off the back of that. If people want structure, then that's a really good way of being able to contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point. We don't have any of those, and they're it's easy to record. So yeah.
Because the other side is from a training perspective, they should be calls we're listening to in training sessions on Monday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
What else? What other reasons have we got for not going into clients straight away? Or what other
I think so.
holdbacks?
It comes down, well, to us, but it's that fear of loss.
Yeah.
Well, naturally, everyone would be like, oh no, I'm brave, I'm amazing, or whatever. But we naturally have a bit of that with us. where you think, oh crap, I've just sold that, I don't want to hassle them and blah blah blah. But really, worst case scenario, you're going to be in exactly the same position you were.
Yeah.
You'd have to do a really, really bad job to fuck up any other potentials for the future. But it is just, and I think that feeds into the pitch will definitely help, but it also feeds into the confidence going back in with trying to upsell someone. I think you just have to go for it and not think one bit about, oh, this could potentially mean that they think I'm hassling them and I'm a pain in the arse and blah blah blah.
But then-
Because otherwise that comes across on the phone.
Just having a good story.
Yeah, but feeding into that
Yeah.
is what we're saying. We've got two different sides of what we're doing here. Obviously, we're doing the sale, and you've got the client services doing the delivery. So we only ever have to care about just keep on. Do you know what I mean? Like keep on selling
Keep
to
that account
those
management,
companies and keep managing that account, and so not to worry really about the delivery side because that actually has nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
And actually, usually the decision makers that we're speaking to has
So
nothing to do
exactly,
with them either.
they just deal with
They
it.
passed it off
to their own delivery
Joey
team.
Monkey over
Yeah.
there. Yeah, he's going to do all their hard work as just kind of a throw around.
So I think the less fear we have around that
Yeah,
process,
exactly. Yeah.
just in terms of it's just speaking to my client, then the more opportunity, the easier it's going to be.
I think as well, it's always worth remembering that we are experts. Me, not so much yet. I'll get there, but
You're an expert.
like you're putting yourself there as credible. You're putting and you've done all that hard work to make sure you're credible. You've done all your hard work to make sure that you've won their trust. That's why they're giving you money. So they trust you. They believe in what you're saying. They believe in what you're selling. So you're in the best position in the world to. We touched on it a little. You did it really well with the call we listened to when you sold the e-blast. Is that this is what you should do. And Max, where you're talking about going back for that recording, that's perfect. Just go right. Feel, felt, found. Right, other people have done this, they did that, they got that. I know that it's the right thing to do. Do you know that? Of course, and of course they want to follow along. They want to seem like experts too.
Yeah.
I think that's when it comes to account management, or growth. I've always found that's the really big thing, is just to show yourself as the guy who knows what your next step is, and I know exactly what you can do, how much it will cost you, the process for it, and I can give that to you right now.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than when you meet a client at a congress or you speak to them on the phone and they say, oh, it would have been really good to do like a pre-congress e-blast. That would have been really cool. You think, oh, right. Obviously, I did a good enough job selling something to them, but I've basically let down the client because you haven't sold them or informed them and educated them about the option out there. So yeah, it's that. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing it. And the worst case scenario is they say, I don't want to do any more stuff till you've published this.
And I also think that your fallback for you, what you just mentioned, if you ever get yourself in that position and they say that to you, is that you just being honest and saying that you'd be doing a disservice to them if you didn't put that in front of them.
yeah,
Because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that they get the best return for the current projects that they've got.
yeah, exactly.
This is the way that you're able to help them do that. No one's going to be able to say, well, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're looking out for your client.
Yeah, I really like the point you mentioned about actually, rather than going in with the stance of, oh, of course we'll do this, we also do this, that and the other, is that interesting? Actually saying, look, most of our clients will combine their symposium review with an e-blast or to get people to the symposium in the first place, and actually suggesting stuff to them, because then you can almost get them thinking about, even if they don't want that option, get them thinking about at least the concept of doing something else, rather than just, here's what we do, are you up for talking about any of it?
I mean,
So maybe just leading them a bit more.
Exactly. I mean, think of Amazon, like even at the simplest way of selling in the world. First thing you do when you buy something on Amazon, you got recommended, or people also bought.
Yeah.
It's how I ended up
Best
on
way
the
to sell
horse.
anything is exactly. Yeah. But as soon as you see people also bought, you're like, well, maybe I should buy that too. I don't want to be the mug that's not buying that.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
position it. When you're calling them up, you're not offering to try and, you're not trying to sell them something.
Mm.
You're trying to give them an opportunity to feature before someone else does.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that's
I thought
what-
I'd give you a quick call because
Yeah.
we've actually sold this many spaces already. We're actually doing planning for next year. Do you know, I want to make sure you have a chance to have a space before someone else takes it. What are your plans? So I think it would be a better way. You're then helping them as opposed to being seen as a salesperson or salesperson.
So from a KPI perspective, what does it massively help with?
Dials and time,
Well,
and your offers and your money.
The offers.
Basically everything. Basically all your time.
All the sourcing.
It's like it's
Gonna fit. Yeah, but it does.
All the
It's a hell of a lot easier to ring up a client who knows you, or to email them, book a call, who's just bought something off you than it is to find a completely brand new one. So suddenly you ring them up, you don't have to have a 20-minute conversation talking about, to discuss selling them EMJ because they already have just bought.
Yeah.
You just need to find out, add value. You can give them a good story, which I can write a pitch for, and I can write a fallback for. So if they're like, why are you not doing this? Or why are you calling me for more money? I've told you this. Got a good story for that. And it's easy to get more proposals out and more revenue. So when you look at it like that, it's just daft that we're not doing it more.
And it's easier as well, and because they've already signed off on something, you don't have to go through that bull crap of what's the sign off process, blah blah blah. You know who's giving you money. They know what our process is as well, so it's a lot easier. Particularly with, this isn't going to be relevant going forward, but even with like a litter, it was a bit of a chasing, getting the form signed and getting it back the first line. And then when we did just the electronic one, just like, this is amazing. Just did it in a minute. So
In a minute.
yeah.
Cool.
Classic.
So aside from that, aside from having a pitch, angle, story, however you want to cable it, is there anything else that would stop you from putting this into practice as soon as I've done that pitch, angle, story? Cool. Let's do that then. I'll get that done, send that across to you, I'll send the matrix across to you, and we'll start growing these accounts.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Cool. Perfect.
Lovely.